Hi all, Rex King here. Little bookkeeping first. The lighting is such that there's no glare on the screen. That's the most important thing, not me. And so, yeah, I'm kind of shadowy, but it's the screen. I couldn't fix the lighting. So the lights aren't here now. I only have these. And so with these, I'm able to fix the screen. Secondly, I'd like to encourage people to subscribe to the channel and encourage others to look at the channel too. We need to raise our level of consciousness as a society above the level of cult mentality. The purpose of this slide, this video that I'm doing, is to help a person to understand what your creation mentality is. Is it godlike, or is it devil-like, divided, or is it God, more pure, where your life is more consistent in every way possible? Anyway, that's what this video is going to do, is help us to understand that better, how that works. So what I've named it though is How True Is Your Truth? And that is literally true. You will be able to know for a fact how true is your truth when you're done with this. Because when you're done with this, you'll be able to understand your level of consciousness. And once you understand your level of consciousness, you'll understand your level of conscience. And when you understand your level of conscience, you'll understand all truth, or where you are in relation to all truth, to God, to whatever you want to call God. So anyway, this is a nice prequel to the series of videos that I put together. They're actually identical. The only difference is the title. One series, the title is how to basically overcome and understand cult mentality, how it works and so forth. It's a masterclass in that. And I use Jehovah's Witnesses as my muse, or as my example, through their belief in the devil, because I was able to expose their belief in the devil for what it is. It's basically a tool that a cult can use to manipulate people. And so I exposed that organization for its use of this cult mentality. Now, whether it wants to consider itself a cult or not is its business, but it's using this cult tool very effectively against its members, whether it realizes it or not. And of course, you can just basically insert the words, Jehovah Witness for any organization or governing body for any group of men or people or women who are trying to have authority over others, and you just the devil as to any fear thing that they want you to fear, whether it be a race of people or a religion or a nation or a mentality or whatever. It's trying to cause you to fear. And by doing that, they're in reality a cult, whether they want to, if you're that's what the point of that scripture, where the sheep I know it's in the Bible too, I'm pretty sure it's, a wolf in sheep's clothing, or sheep in wolf's clothing, or whatever you say. A wolf in sheep's clothing is the proper terminology. Anyway, of course, on the other hand, maybe I look like a sheep in wolf's clothing. I don't know. Maybe I'm a sheep in wolf's clothing. But anyway, and there's truth behind that, because right now on earth, because of the division, because of this mixed mentality, people have to protect themselves. And that's why people feel like they need weapons and they need, protection. Why? Because of this, it's in other words, the need for protection is a symptom. It's not a cause. It's a symptom of something. It's a symptom, and when we finish with this, you're going to understand what that is. Okay, so we're 5 minutes in. Hopefully, I've shook off all those that were just curious, and only those that are really interested in learning some spiritual truth are left. And in reality, that's what I do in my videos. Although I start talking from the beginning spiritual truth, I on purpose follow a pace that those that are truly not interested will go away before they get confused, because I don't want to confuse people. I just want people to have happy lives. And only those that truly want to learn and know, can hang on and get some spiritual truth. And hopefully utilize that when they make decisions and when they speak and come to understand what they want to believe and become. Because we're all individuals being children of the all, growing at our own pace, and truth is being revealed to us in a relative way, as we can get it. And it's all consistent, and it's consistent with goodness. You reap what you sow, what we've been talking about in other videos. But this video specifically, though, we want to get into it. And your creation mentality, okay? We have the ability as creators to decide what the world's going to be like. We just need to accept that reality. Just like we have to accept that we're perfect. We have to accept that we have complete control over the outcome of the earth if we choose to exercise it properly. And if we don't exercise it properly, then we don't have complete control over the future of the earth. And somebody above us at some higher level is going to have to step in at some point. And that might mean starting over. It might mean, who knows? I'm not at that pay scale yet. In fact, when I'm at the end of this, you'll understand what I just meant. Okay, so let's keep moving. Right now, what's happening on earth is because people are confused about what we are and who we are, and they just don't understand because their consciousness hasn't risen to that level yet. We get this divided world that we live in, So the world that we live in is a symptom of us misusing our perfection with its creative ability as given us by God through Adam and Eve, according to the Bible record. And basically, I'm looking at this from a Bible viewpoint. I've got a spiritual mentality. I believe in the Jesus. I believe that we're all aspiring to be Jesus in our unique personalities. Jesus being a good person, a person that perfectly follows the law. You reap what you sow, which means also no one is above the law. And so it's. I'm just saying that it's all really pretty simple and basic. As your consciousness rises and you see how the pieces fit together. Well, let me get into this, okay? So basically, it's this, and I've kind of alluded to this on a couple of videos in the past, and that's why I wanted to take this a little step further. Imagine us as individuals. Like, for instance, when you're born, you're at this consciousness level. This is a level of consciousness, okay? This is actually the mark, I'm an engineer, and as an engineer, this is the mark of the level of water. When I do a drawing, I do one of these. And so I'm just imagining water to be at the level of a person's individual consciousness. And when we're born, our consciousness is way down here. We made put a little short line here. We're born. We're just ignorant as can be. Our consciousness is empty. And we're relying on our parents and those above us to help us to put the correct things in our consciousness so that we can live a healthy, productive life in the world that we happen to be born in. So if we happen to be born in the United States, then our parents will acclimate us to life there. And if we're born in China or in India or in Germany or in Russia or whatever country it happens to be, we'll be acclimated. And to some extent, if we're not careful as we get older, some of these things could have been very bad habits that we were given, and we wouldn't know it, and we can do some terrible things. And we know from history, what can happen with being misguided. And so we can directly see how, from being a child, the maturing of one's consciousness is quite important, because if it's not matured properly, we can be led astray into doing things like a genocide, such as in Germany in the past. And even today, with war today, it's genocide. I mean, it's just completely obvious that this is just, crazy thinking. Somebody in power, in charge, some current governing body in charge that's running the show, and they're running havoc, and everybody below their conscious level that's willing to listen to them, is going to be damaged. And so it's very heartwarming to see now when some of these governments are asking their people to go sacrifice their lives for stupid things and bad things, the men are running away. So I'm not going to kill nobody, and I don't want to be killed. Let me get out of the way. And they're doing the right thing. Get out of the way. Because if you want to stay there and fight, follow if this man is in charge and you can't prevent that from being so, and other people are willing to enforce his being in charge, then the only option is to get out of the way completely. Hide yourself. I mean, isn't that what the Bible says? Wise person can, sees the disaster and proceeds to conceal himself. He doesn't let himself be exposed to the disaster. And that's what we're talking about. When a person's consciousness is raised, they begin to see truth more. They begin to see reality more. See, what a person's level of truth is based on their accurate understanding of consciousness. In other words, God isn't going to judge a child with the limited knowledge that they have, given the circumstances and they've been in, as needing to understand some truth, because they're just a child in their growth process, at the time. But at some point, they're going to, ideally they're going to raise in their consciousness as they get older, to where when they're finally, given accounting of their, purpose for existence, their meaning of existence, they will be able to say, hey, yeah, this is what I've become. This is who I am. And that's why it's so important that those in the positions above us be guiding us properly, so that we can become the best we can be, so that we can be given those opportunities when we need them. In other words, that the structure that we need as a child to grow up healthy, our parents in society as our parent has provided those steps, so that when we get there, we can take them. When we're ready for a proper understanding of something, it'll be available to us. There's actually an esoteric saying for it. It says, when the ears of the learner is ready for the wisdom, then the mouth of the teacher shall be made available. Well, the purpose of society should be to make sure that the mouth is available when the teacher is needed, because the children are the purpose of society, to raise our children so that their level of consciousness will be such that they will be creating at that level, and it could be all good, because their level of consciousness will be such that everything that goes through their mind and everything they create and everything they do will be in harmony with all truth. Not some relative truth of some ignorant person or some ignorant group that's saying good is bad and bad is good and don't realize it. They don't really understand what love is. See, I stopped filling this in when I got to this group. I wanted to mention governing body. And this could be any governing body. This could be a political party. This could be a political party in power, out of power. This could be a political party in a different country. This could be a political party in our country. This could be someone that we know that has some authority over us, like a religious governmental authority that's telling us what's good and bad and controlling our lives. It could be a lot of things, okay? But the point is that once you get beyond this, it can get real fuzzy as to what's next, because, what is really the consciousness level of this group? Because in a particular group, if its consciousness level is really down here and it thinks it's up here, you got a problem. Because anything here is really, doesn't know what to do. And it becomes quite disorganized. And what you have to do is you have to start telling lies, and you have to start, making it up, because it don't add up. So at what consciousness level are you? See, that's what it is. Like from the instance, like I've used Jehovah's Witnesses in the past as my illustration. I just assume be consistent now, with their governing body. See, at one time, they probably had a governing body that was quite aware. They were truly anointed, okay? And they set things up to some degree at that point in time as to what could be done given their imperfect human natures and so forth and so on, at that time. And I'm talking about maybe like Russell, okay? I don't know if I wouldn't know him personally. He's dead before I was born. But the point I'm getting at is this organization was set up in, we would think originally with good intent, okay? And I believe that sincerely, okay? And there were probably other awakened ones and good men in the organization at one time. And then now we have this current governing body. Not that they're not less good men, but good men ignorant. You could be a perfectly good child, but if you're ignorant, you're doing ignorant things, bad things. Right now the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses, believe it or not, one of them was talking about how children are like enemies of God, or something like that, enemies of God. And so he's taking this right here. And he's looking, when children are born, they're ignorant, but they're not an enemy of God. They're just ignorant. And good thing, because you'd be an enemy of God, you governing body. But the fact is, y'all still children spiritually and mentally. Y'all ignorant, because y'all using this backwards. You see, that's the point I'm getting at. And what are you creating at that level? Basically, this organization of the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society with its governing body has been set up by people that were more aware than them in the past, okay? And so it's sort of a mechanism that's been set up on automatic. And this current governing body, okay, has fallen into that position because of whatever reason. And now they're just running in that mode, okay, in automatic, and they don't know what to do. They just don't know what to do, okay, because they're basically trying to be aware of a consciousness level that's above them, that's out of their control. And so because of that, and I say them, any group, they think that they've got control over what's below them, but in reality they don't. Because what's above them is always going to be in control. And so the point I'm getting at is it doesn't matter what this group is, because in reality what happens is they become the muse that makes it possible for us to see this. Because if this didn't exist, how would you know the difference? How would you know that you were creating bad things if bad things didn't happen, if you didn't have symptoms? And so, that's what this is all about, So at what consciousness level are you, and what are you currently creating at that level? So, less truth, negative, ignorant, knowing, conscience. Now this is, now you notice the word conscience here versus consciousness. Consciousness is awareness and level of awareness, okay? In other words, level of being able to comprehend the complexity of the world around us is consciousness. But conscience is the moral value behind that, okay? And that's where your level of all truth comes in. So basically, what this is your consciousness is tied to a conscious at certain levels. So as your conscious becomes more mature and you be able to handle truth, love, reality more, your awareness goes higher and higher and higher, okay? To the point where your conscience is like that of the conscience of God, and you see things from God's viewpoint, not from man's viewpoint, like a governing body. Like a governing body who says something is bad because in reality they're just ignorant, but the governing body is too ignorant to know that they're just ignorant, and they passed a judgment. And of course, that's what these cults do. You know, the man in charge says that group's bad. They are the ones that caused this and that. I'm the one that can fix it. We need to get them. You need to vote for me so I can get them. You need to keep me in charge so I can get them. You need to believe what I say so that I can get them. You know, all those people out there, that 99.5% of the world that don't believe like us, they're bad. They need to be destroyed. Let God is going to destroy them for us. All we need to do is sit back and keep paying your fees, and let's keep praying together, and keep paying your fees so I don't get hungry while I'm praying for you. You know, that kind of stuff. Billion-dollar organization claiming that they're just poor people, you know, just living off the land. Billion-dollar organization taking money from people that are barely surviving for no reason other than their lies, that they need to be in between, because it's just lies. It's keeping people's consciousness down here below them on purpose and not helping people to go up. Because that's what this is. Everything above here, I assure you, God is wanting everything good, okay? Jesus is wanting everything good. This group of the aware are wanting everything good. This anointed group, if you're one of the Jehovah's Witnesses, I assure you, they're aware. Good men and awakened ones on earth still are aware, I assure you. And they're working hard to straighten this out, because it's time now. Because this current governing body has fulfilled its purpose. It did it very badly, but it did it. Because it could have prepared the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society's, you know, readers, Jehovah's Witnesses, with being able to live and function in a perfect society to where they could be much wealthier and better off than they are now. But instead of all the Jehovah's Witnesses being wealthy and better off, this governing body with its clique there, they're way better off. And anybody that tries to get some of it and don't agree with them, they're going to get kicked out, and they're going to be destroyed emotionally and mentally and reputational wise, or any way possible, if possible, you know, in that local community, you know, from the viewpoint of where that person matters. I mean, like, you think I can go down the street right now and visit with some people that I know that were Jehovah's Witnesses and try and talk with them in any rational, peaceful way about anything spiritual whatsoever, to help them to understand the need to, you know, become more aware, you know, that they're actually in a cult. And the reason why they don't believe they're in a cult, because the cult tells them they're not in a cult, so therefore they can't be in a cult because the cult told them that they're not. You know, that's the trap they're in. It's quite sad. And in fact, I attached a video from another ex-Jehovah Witness that basically talked about how it's important that we speak up if we can, to try and help people become aware of how bad this really is. I mean, for the older ones that are going to die in it, that's fine. You know, let this thing just die off with them, and let the younger members, you know, raise their consciousness so that they can become aware that, you know, if you're going to be part of this, be part of it as a social club or an organization, but don't let it have any moral authority over your life and make you feel, or put you in a situation where you're going to lose all your friends and family if you don't play by their rules. I mean, it's just not proper. Well, let me make sure I've covered this really well. So hopefully you understand the point is that depending on one's education level, understanding level, and so forth, you know, I mean, just use any illustration, like playing a musical instrument. The moment you pick up the instrument, a guitar or something, it's very, very unfamiliar. I mean, just touching the thing you have to get used to just that, being part of, you know, the instrument, and you being part working together as one and feeling comfortable with it. And then from there, you practice and practice and practice. And as you practice, you get better and better. Eventually, you learn play a few songs. And then eventually, you're able to be comfortable enough to play in front of other people and perform on an amateur level. And if you're really committed, you get to a point where you know everything about it. You write your own songs. You making your own melodies, your own tunes. It's all truth. You are a musician. You have become a musician. You're a practicing musician. And what are you practicing? Your creation mentality to create beautiful, wonderful music. I mean, that's it. Take it in every way, every aspect of your life. This is it. Developing from a lack of consciousness of how to do something, making it more and more aware. But you have to be careful that you don't have one of these negative influences dragging you down, keeping you down, blocking you. Oh no, you can't do that. You don't have the right to create your own life. You got to go through me, through me, because I'm the way to get to Jesus is through me. No, you can become Jesus without the governing body teaching you how. I assure you, whatever you need to become in your life, if you're a good person and just want to do right by others, live by the golden rule. Every man, no man's above the law. Everybody needs to play fair. Those kind of principles. What's good for me, what's good for you. That's the kind of mentality. And that's what happens is if you have that in a genuine way, you're a good person. You see the path up. The path up, good. And it's not necessary that we get this aware, that we be like God. This is good enough, And I say this is good enough is to be above this. Everybody needs to get above this. Every child needs to be taught to be above this. Not to be trapped by some cult mentality. Where cults live is here in this mentality, letting ignorant people that aren't properly qualified to be in charge. And the reason why is because we want in our life to be as truthful and all good and knowing so that all our creations are good and not divided. Because that's what this does. This puts us in a position where we're always, making decisions that really aren't necessarily beneficial and helpful for ourselves, but for the benefit of some mentality that's probably not correct, but they're trapped in some organizational mode that's more conscious than they are, and they don't even know it, and they don't know how to stop it. It's like a runaway train or a snowball going downhill, and it's ready to crash. And what we're trying to do is help people to get off before it crashes. And the key to all of this, believe it or not, is the conscience. This word right here, the conscience. Because the purer your conscience is, the more you can honestly say, I'm being good toward everyone around me. And because I know I'm being good to everyone around me, I'm not hurting or treating anybody unfair. Not in a physical way, but in a mental way. In a mental way, I'm nothing but blessing everyone. In a mental way, I know, I wouldn't do that personally, but hopefully it's going to lead them, and hopefully they come to realize it's not really helpful either to be just like that, and it'll lead them to something a little better. And isn't that what growth is? That's always wanting to get to something a little better. And that's what we're trying to do. And that's what this is, trying to always awaken our consciousness to be a little better. Because what happens is someone at this level of consciousness can't understand things above it to where it looks like they're doing something logical, but they're not. And someone at this level of consciousness is doing things that they think is logical, but it's not. And that's why the awakened ones can look back at the governing body and mock them. Because they say that they're so smart and they're in charge and they know everything, these types of people. And in reality, they're ignorant as rocks and don't see it. They just happen to have been born or maneuvered or finagled or, fell upward, into a position that they really they should not be in. And it's because of their own ignorance that they allowed it to happen to themselves, and now they're going to have to pay the price individually because you reap what you sow. But good men can see that, and so what we're doing is we're exposing this now, helping people to recognize how these cults function, these cult mentality. You know, this cult mentality right here. How it functions so that we can go around it. Exposed. And that's what it is. It's a roadblock. It stops us from moving forward. And so, did we answer the question, at what consciousness level are you? So hopefully you can see now where you're at, depending on the information you've been getting and so forth. And from that, we should be able to look at our conscience and decide whether this is a good thing. Does your conscience tell you that I should reject my child because they're trying to grow up and they went and had sex, and now my religion tells me because my child isn't sorry they had sex, because they see that it was a blessing, that now they know they don't want to have nothing to do with that person anymore because they had sex with them and they realize what a creep they are or whatever. And they didn't know that unless they allowed themselves to be exposed to them in that level. And so now they can make a better decision for their life, but now the parent has to make a choice whether they want to reject the child because the child learned a wonderful, valuable lesson, is now going to be a healthy person or a better person, you know. And you understand the confusion this causes, but the point is that when that person has a good conscience, they can clear that up pretty easily and realize, hey, look, my child is my responsibility, not this organization. And in that way, your consciousness will get around this and you can become an awakened one. And the purpose of all the videos in this series, whether you watch the series about, for Jehovah's Witnesses to Awaken into Paradise, that title that's on it, or the one that's about helping a person to understand how cults think. The videos are the same in both series. The only difference is the mentality behind it. You know, from a person that grew up as Jehovah's Witness, then that's what I've done. Is I've created a series of videos to help you to overcome the cult that you're in, because that's what it is. If you don't start facing reality, you're not going to be able to be in reality. And there's another video that I'm about to attach to this one from another brother or ex-Jehovah's Witness member that posted one, and I'm gonna link it to this one about I lost the thought, but anyway, it'll be linked. And we're at 33 minutes. So I want to start bringing this down. But did we answer the question, at what level of consciousness level are you? You should be able to see whether this is a block in your life, whether it be, any organization, just fill in the, and as you watch my videos in these series, you'll more and more see it from different viewpoints on how they work and how they do, and you're going to mature, just watching and listening, you're going to mature your consciousness. Your consciousness is going to be able to see this path around, because that's the point of these videos, is to show you the path around this so that you can become an awakened one, and you'll start just creating good things. Because if anybody, I'm not afraid that anybody that wants to watch this and say, hey, look, I'm going to learn how to create from this video, and then I'm going to create bad things. Look, if you think that you can get away with that, man, more power to you. But I assure you that any person that really wants to be a good person, their conscience isn't going to allow that. And I'm relying on that. I'm relying that this governing body their conscience is just confused. They think that they're following a Jesus, and they've just got it backwards in their head. And these videos, even hopefully the governing body's watching all these videos, and they'll come to understand their folly of following, basically an idol that they created, and the idol is the Watchtower. The previous teachings of the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, right or wrong, that's their idol. I mean, that's what it is. What did the Apostle John say? Guard yourself from idols. Look, I can't beat that. Oh, yeah, let me make sure I've done it all. So, and at what are you creating? What are you creating at that level? Okay, so basically we're all creating something in our lives. At what level are we creating? Are we creating all good? Or are we creating, a divided, devilish life? And again, watching all these videos will help you to understand how we can create a life that's all good. We can be in paradise now in our personal lives, and we can assist our neighbors and friends and to be in paradise too by the way we conduct ourselves in the spirit we put out there. Anyway, I'd like to stop this now. I'm gonna post videos from time to time as I can see I can improve what's here, and I watch other people's stuff and see if I can answer a question or two if I see that there's some benefit I could put out there. And that's what this was. People are confused. Let me do one more thing before I close this for those that really want that extra bit. How should we view God is the question. As one of Jehovah's Witnesses, we viewed God as way out there, just like we've used the devil way out there, and they were out there, But how should we actually view God? What's a healthy way? Of course, I use the illustration about viewing God and the devil, or good and bad, as a negative, positive options in our lives, and making using that as a means to decide and make best decisions for ourselves and others, okay? But I guess I'm coming to the point where this deal about Jesus in relation to God, you see here I'm showing Jesus and awareness, and then God is above this, the all, Is it possible for us to get to this point up here? I think it is. I do. I think that everything is moving in this direction. And that God, the all, is infinitely large, just like the children are infinitely large, everything. And so we as individuals can grow, and we can actually become part of the all's group consciousness. And that's really what we're talking about. There's a group consciousness of complete ignorance, and there's a group consciousness, and there's a group consciousness of the governing body and those that follow them, or any group and those that follow them. And that's what those group leaders are looking for, is that spirit that they get, that power they get, whether it be financial, emotional, spiritual power from this group, because that power has creating ability, and they want that creating ability for themselves. They don't want people to use it for their personal lives. They want to collectively take it from them. And when they want to build a building, what do? All you people that can build buildings, please come build my building for me. And that's it. Because I tell you what, any one of those individuals falls on hard times that went and build that building, and they call them up and say, hey, look, man, I went over there and I built that building. I spent 10 months over there and this and that and this and that. And I'm on hard times now. Can you send me some? Look, they might get something, but I tell you what. And that's the point, is it's really it's a Ponzi scheme from the viewpoint that as long as you're in the group and you're playing the game at the top, you're benefiting. But if you try and expose the group, or actually say, hey, look, do you realize what we're doing here really isn't helping people? It's just, when you try and figure out the reality of what's happening, again, it's above their consciousness level, And that's what they're trying to do. That's why they don't want you to see or hear or learn or grow or in any way, shape, or form, because you keep, you don't want to get around. You don't want to learn this path. You want to stay below this. Okay. Well, look, I need to stop this. And so peace on earth, goodwill to all mankind, peace and security for all. And I hereby transmute any prayer, any desire for any harm to the earth, or any man, woman, or child on earth, to be transmuted into love. And any missile, whether it be physical or spiritual, melt away until it's nothing but love. And it's going to be for the benefit and for the blessing of all mankind. May all the weapons on earth today that have been created only be used in any way, shape, or form for the blessing and for the loving benefit of all mankind, for its peace and security eternally. So mote it be. Amen.